gonna sit in this little baby chair to tell my story. Oh my god, my ass doesn't fucking fit in the baby chair. My ass is stuck in the baby chair. Okay. So, I have been contemplating making this video for like 6 to 9 months, ever since I've started to get like more confident / caring less in the fact that this is just a fact about me now. But I want to share with all of you guys, and I want to keep this video pretty short and sweet while still telling my story and being as educational as possible. So if you know anybody who has herpes or has recently been diagnosed and is panicking and thinks their life is over, please share this video with them, because that was me. I got diagnosed almost exactly 2 years ago. I have no way of knowing who I got it from because it's impossible to know. Sometimes the virus lays dormant in people for years until the first outbreak, and then your assumption is, oh, it's whoever I last had sex with because I just had an outbreak, when realistically it could have been from someone you haven't had sex with in years. So you can never pinpoint who gave you herpes, which is kind of shitty, but also, I guess, kind of a miracle at the same time, right? When I first had an outbreak, I was having sex consistently with 35-year-old guy, and I assumed that I must have gotten it from him, because same assumption, whoever you're having sex with when you have the first outbreak, you think must be from them. So he panics, he goes and gets tested, he's clean. So obviously I got it from someone before I started hooking up with 35-year-old guy. I have a pretty good hunch of 2 different random Tinder hookups that I think it might have been. Like, in my gut, I really feel like it was one of them. And that just goes to show, like, please fucking use condoms, because I never really gave a fuck about condoms because I always knew I was clean, and guys would make a huge deal about condom usage, like, oh, it doesn't feel the same, I don't want to use them. And I just assumed if a guy really didn't want to use a condom and I knew I was clean, I was assuming like he knew he was clean too. That's just the definition of naivete at its finest. Please use condoms. You never know someone's status, and people really do not get tested as often as they say they do. I literally never got tested unless I had a symptom. And then I had a symptom, which was, it was kind of like a lesion on the left side of my vagina, like the actual vagina where you stick the dick or the tampon in. There was just a little lesion, which I thought was a nick from shaving. After about a week of the nick not scabbing over, clearing itself up, I realized that it was probably something else. Started to panic, thinking it was herpes, because this is like what we've had instilled in us, right? We've all had fear instilled in us. Like, you don't want herpes, there's no cure, it never goes away, you have to tell every partner ever, blah blah blah, whatever. You're gonna get bumps on your dick, you're gonna get bumps on your vagina, it's gonna be mayhem. So really, herpes is the exact same as getting a cold sore on your mouth. So yes, for some people it can be kind of like a cold sore on your dick or your vagina, but for me it wasn't like that. It wasn't a bump, it's never been a bump. I'm pretty lucky in that an outbreak for me is probably only 3 or 4 times a year, and it's the equivalent of a yeast infection without the itch. That's how I describe it. It's just a sore tenderness in my vagina. When I first was diagnosed, I did not tell sexual partners because I was really embarrassed, obviously, because of the societal stigma. I wasn't educated yet on it, and I had this huge fear of rejection, right? Like, I didn't want guys that would otherwise have interest in me and otherwise have sex with me no longer interested in me or no longer want to hook up with me simply because of an invisible virus floating around in my body. And what I find very funny, considering the stigma around it, is that you can't die from HSV1 or 2. HSV1, oral herpes, HSV2, genital herpes. What's very ironic is that my mom used to get cold sores all the time, which means my mom is HSV1. What's very funny about that is I do not have HSV1, I only have HSV2. So it's just kind of weird how life works out like that. But at the end of the day, it's literally just an invisible virus in your body that has no negative effect on your body. It's not like HIV when your blood count is getting attacked, and HIV can turn into AIDS, which is like a guaranteed death sentence. I mean, clearly now it's 2019. HIV is actually much more manageable than HSV, which I find very funny. I mean, not funny, it's great, but you know what I mean. Like, everyone's freaking the fuck out over herpes when it's not a death sentence, you know? It's not a big deal. The only big deal about it is having to deal with the outbreaks, and for some people they are really painful or really bad. Some people it's not a big deal. That's my case. I'm very fortunate. And having to tell potential partners, and when I first was diagnosed, I started sleeping with someone knew. And like a month into sleeping with them, I like broke down crying and finally admitted that I had herpes because I just felt so wrong and guilty inside. And it was a really sad, fucked up conversation, and he felt so betrayed by me, and I felt like the biggest piece of shit ever. And I was taking my medication for it, and there is a literal only 1 to 2% chance of transmission from a girl to a man when she's on her medication and when she's smart about her body and when she's not having an outbreak, etc. You can honestly not take the medication. The medication is completely a choice. You can choose to not take the medication unless when you're having an outbreak, and then you want to take the medication to get the outbreak to go away faster, obviously. But there's a lot of people that don't take the medication because you don't want to pay for it. You don't want to swallow a pill every day. It's a really, really big pill too. I have a medication called Valtrex, and I knew that I was very confident that I hadn't given it to him, but I just knew that it was wrong of me to be having sex without a condom with someone without telling them the truth. So I told him the truth. He was really upset. Obviously, we stopped like talking, hooking up, seeing each other, and now we're on good terms. But about 6 months after me and him called it off, he texted me telling me that he had herpes and that he was pretty sure he got it from the girl he was currently hooking up with, because they both went and got tested and they both had it, which is kind of rare. It's usually like in my case where it's like, oh my god, I've had this outbreak, I go get the test assuming my partner is gonna have it and my partner is clean. So it's really not as like transmittable as people act like it is. People act like if you even just have sex with someone with herpes once, like you're guaranteed just gonna have bumps on your dick tomorrow. It's literally not like that at all. I'm gonna put a lot of links below to a bunch of different websites that educated me a lot when I was first diagnosed. I also spoke to 2 different doctors, one in Florida when I was at FSU, because I was an FSU student when I got it, which is so funny because there's like this ongoing FSU joke called the tally plague, where it's kind of just like a joke because everyone at FSU is so slutty and hot and everyone fucks each other that like you're not gonna get out without getting herpes. And it happened to me, and once I was diagnosed and confided in some friends and family, etc., I had 2 other really close friends tell me that they had it as well, which just goes to show that it is so much more prevalent than we think. We just don't talk about it. And I feel like someone as ballsy and confident and throwing my life out there as I am, I'll be someone that talks about it, because I wish I had a video like this when I was diagnosed 2 years ago. And basically it hasn't affected my sex or dating life at all. I get it out of the way very, very quickly. If I'm talking to a guy on an app and we're hitting it off and we're gonna meet, I usually throw it out there before I even meet them. I really get it out of the way quickly, because at the end of the day, if it's gonna be a problem, it's gonna be a problem. Like, no matter how amazing I am isn't gonna sway your decision. I just really like to educate people when I tell them. I have this little text in my notepad on my iPhone that I send out to anyone that I tell, giving them the basics of the information. And I also urge them to do their own research as well, because at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal in the slightest if you're precautionary, if you avoid sex during outbreaks, and if you take this medication. That is 100% up to you to take. I have only had 4 men in 2 years of having this tell me that they had no interest in getting to know me / no interest in ever being physical with me because of herpes. 4 men. You know how many men I've talked to in 2 years' time? Whether it's an app, a guy at a bar, a casual text, a hookup, someone that I low-key dated, probably like 150. From like the most casual to a dude I just text for 2 days and never even meet, up to like someone I have sex with consistently for. Only 4 dudes had a real issue with it. So I really think that being open and honest from the get-go makes people really respect you, because I have had people straight up be like, wow, I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was expecting you to say you were like a 3-time divorcee or had a fucking kid or something, but I just can't believe you were so honest about something that we've been told as a society is something that we should keep quiet. And it's really gotten me kudos points with a lot of men, and surprisingly enough, as people get older and are more educated, I have disclose this information to many a man who has already been educated on his own terms. I have talked to guys before who have already in the past dated women who have had herpes, and they themselves are fine, are still clean. So it's totally possible to have herpes and date someone that doesn't have herpes and not give them herpes. I feel like I'm kind of blanking on what I wanted to tell you. I just really wanted to make this video to let you know that even I have it. Someone that's like that you watch on your YouTube or Instagram, or maybe you know me in real life. If you know me in real life, you probably know I have herpes. It's common knowledge. It's kind of like an ongoing joke. Like my personality, my sense of humor, all my friends, guys and girls, know like Brighton has herpes, and it's just a really funny one-liner for a lot of comedic relief to a conversation that otherwise could be serious for some people. And I think I'm just spreading a lot of light. I even have friends, like guys and girls, completely platonic friends obviously, that are just like, wow, like I feel so educated now on something that for like 25-30 years in my life I knew nothing about, other than it was something that I absolutely did not want to get. And at the end of the day, if you get it, like it's not a big deal. The first outbreak is always the worst. So once you get past that week or two of like slight pain, irritation, whatever, you're gonna be okay. After the first year of having the virus in your body starts to get better at tackling it. Your body can't 100% tackle and defeat the virus, and there is no cure. So it's always gonna be around. But each year that passes, your body is doing its best to tackle this virus the same way our body attacks any virus that we have in our system. And it slowly becomes nothing. Like by the time I'm 50 years old, my herpes might be like basically non-existent, if that makes sense, especially with the constant digestion of the medication, etc. The medicine is very, very powerful. Like I'm saying, if I can even feel the tingle of the start of a potential outbreak, which is called like the prodrome feeling, something like that, which is like the pre-tingle, like the precursor to like the first day of your outbreak or something. The second I start to feel that, I take 2 Voltrexes, and the next morning I wake up and it's like gone. Like it's gone before it even had a chance to start. So it's powerful, very potent, very effective medication. It has not affected my dating or sex life. When I have casual sex, I tell people, like one night stand type of situations, the dude just throws on a condom, it's not a big deal. There have been situations where condoms haven't been accessible, or the guy hasn't really cared in the moment, or I've had sex with someone enough consistently that we have built up a trust with each other that we're not going to use condoms. And all of those men, as far as I'm concerned, are as clean as Mr. Clean's bald shiny head. I really don't believe I've passed it to anyone. I think that I'm really smart about my body. I'm smart at feeling when I feel like an outbreak is going to happen. I know when to avoid sex. I'm open and honest about it. And I just like come to find that the more open and honest I am about any things in life, you're respected so much more by people, and it's a huge weight off your chest. Because trust me when I say, when I had to tell that guy after sleeping with him without a condom for a month that I was HSV2 positive, it was soul crushing. Like we both cried, and I don't want anyone else to ever feel that way. And the guilt is so immenseful, and God forbid you do have sex with someone without a condom and you don't disclose your status, and then that person does end up getting herpes potentially from you, and then you get a text being like, hey, this is weird, I think I have herpes, do you know if you have herpes? And then you know you have herpes. What are you gonna do, lie and play dumb? Are you gonna fess up and feel guilty and have this terrible argument with this person? Like, just be honest. Talk to multiple doctors if you want to. There's so much research on the internet. There's this amazing Instagram page called My Boyfriend Has Herpes, and it's like these cute little comics done by a couple where the man has herpes, the woman doesn't, and like how they go through life that way, and how she stays clean, and how it doesn't affect the relationship in the least, and how she's really supportive of him, and coming out about talking about it, because a lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people go to the grave never ever discussing this with anyone except maybe the person they marry. I saw a statistic on Instagram the other day that said % of people that tell their partner that they have herpes before certain milestones in a relationship, and up to marriage, as in the day you're getting married, only 40% of people with herpes disclose to their partner they're about to marry that they had herpes before their wedding day. So it's really not a big deal. It's a societal stigma that society has made to be a big deal. Same with HIV. Like everyone has this assumption if you get HIV, you're gonna get AIDS and you're gonna die. No, HIV now is more manageable than HSV. HIV now, if you take enough of your medication and stay with it, there's like a 0% chance of you passing it on to sexual partners. Whereas even with HSV2, there's still a 1 to 2% chance. So there isn't a cure, but it's extremely manageable, to the point that as someone who's had it for 2 years, I'm mind blown that the way I thought of herpes for the first 22 years of my life is the way that I thought, because everything that I thought was wrong. So I know it's tons of people that are clicking on this video. Everything you're thinking is wrong. So yeah, it's not a big deal. I don't have bumps on my vagina. You could never tell from looking at my vagina ever that I have herpes, and you can only get it from skin to skin contact. It's not because of semen or the wetness of a vagina touching another vagina or a dick or whoever the fuck you're fucking. I don't give a fuck about your sexual preference, but it is skin to skin contact. That means if two girls do this with their vaginas, even there's a potential, and one of them has herpes, there's a potential the other person could get it just because the skin is touched. That's why you take medication. You get to know your body. You can tell when the virus is lingering on the surface, which is called shedding the virus, which typically happens when you're having an outbreak. It sometimes happens when you're not having an outbreak, which then you never know, you know? But that's, I think, just the 1 to 2% risk associated with it. But at the end of the day, if it's a huge deal, just slap on a condom. And I am here to personally tell you that I still have sex whenever I want with whoever I want, except those 4 dudes. I still get asked on dates. I go on dates. I tell my dates about my herpes. It's a very interesting conversation. I get instant kudos points for being honest. My vagina never has. It's really not an issue. Like, I can't believe that I'm making this video and being so NBD about it, but it's really not an issue, and I've never given it to anyone, and it's my story to tell and share, and I really hope that this video just helps someone feel less alone, feel less dirty, feel less guilty, and just know that there are options for you, and you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna date, and you're gonna have sex, and you're gonna get married. You're even gonna have sex without condoms and not give it to people. Like, you're gonna really be fine. And I love all of you, and yeah, I guess that's like one of my biggest secrets, so hope you enjoyed.